So the Packers decide to go 2 defensive players in the first round of this draft. And so I just want to give my overall grade on the first round of this Packers draft, sort of discuss both picks. I did do a live stream yesterday, and I put out my live reaction to the picks, but I want to go into a little bit more depth and give my overall sort of grade on the first round of this Packers draft. And of course, tonight we have round 2 and 3 happening. So I'm hoping the Packers come in and snag a wide receiver in round 2. Gutekunst did say in a press conference from last night after the draft that he still doesn't feel necessarily the need to reach for a wide receiver if there's not a guy in the second round they don't like. So I guess there's still that possibility the Packers once again continue to pass on wide receiver. But honestly, I think round 2 is going to be a pick of wide receiver. I even think they could maybe decide to trade up in the second round because there's still lots of good wide receiver options. George Pickens, Christian Watson, Alec Pierce, Sky Moore, Jalen Tolbert. There's many wide receiver options there. I am wondering, though, if the Packers will be able to wait till 53 to get one of those guys because they could fly off the board before that pick, so maybe they need to trade up. But who knows? Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't happen. So the Packers going 2 defensive players in the first round of the NFL draft. So first off, at number 22, the Packers come in and take linebacker Quay Walker. Right when this pick happened, I was a little bit, like in real time, I was sort of contemplating. I was like, okay, what do I think about this? Because it wasn't really a pick that was mocked many times to the Packers. It wasn't discussed that much. But now looking at Quay Walker, sort of going into more research on him and the player that he was at Georgia, it just imagining him in this Packers defense next to Devonte Campbell, it's going to be a scary combo to have both of these guys flying around. If we take a look at him, 6'4", 245 pounds, but he has insane speed. Here's a tweet from Zach Cruz on Twitter saying this: Quay Walker had a faster short shuttle in 3-cone time than Eric Stokes. Let that soak in. Elite movement ability. So the fact that this linebacker in Quay Walker is faster basically in the 3-cone time and short shuttle than Eric Stokes is insane. And if you watch his highlights, you see that speed that he has, his ability to move from sideline to sideline, especially too when it comes in the running game. His ability to close on the ball carrier is insane. And if we take a look at PFF, he had the 3rd highest tackling grade in college football last year. So a beast when it comes to tackling. He's also insane in coverage. He has 0 touchdowns allowed in 548 coverage snaps in college. So he has been beastly at Georgia. And one thing that I found interesting too was that Brian Gutekunst in his press conference said that he has been a guy that the Packers identified very early as a great fit for this team. So it looks like for a while they've sort of seen him as a guy who could come into this Joe Barry defense and play alongside Devonte Campbell. And one quote from Gutekunst I want to talk about right here that I think is interesting. He says, "It's been a while since we've been able to stay in certain packages with 2 inside backers that we think can handle everything in run defense and the passing game, and this really gives our defense a ton of flexibility." So it looks like the Packers may decide to come in here in this season and use more 2 inside linebacker sets with having Quay Walker coming in here with his ability to fly around the defense. And I think to imagine Devonte Campbell, who I think coming in 2021, his ability to come in, fill those holes, his ability to cover, having the all-pro season that he had, to get a guy who, obviously he's not going to be Devonte Campbell right away, but maybe in the next couple of years can develop into a similar type, to have 2 insane linebackers there to cover sideline to sideline when it comes to the running game, when it comes to, little short, quick passes, their ability to, their closing speed, I mean, it's gonna be crazy to watch. So Quay Walker, I think, is an amazing pick by the Packers at 22 for this defense. Obviously, we pass at wide receiver, but at 22 there, 6 wide receivers had been off the board. If Treylon Burks would have fallen to 22, I honestly am curious if the Packers would have drafted him. If you're on the live stream, I was saying that, when the Titans moved up and traded ahead of the Packers, I was like, oh no, they just traded away A.J. Brown. Treylon Burks, in a way, reminds me of A.J. Brown, and so it sort of seemed like that would happen, that they would take Treylon Burks, and of course, the Titans decided to trade him, so that was a little sad. I would have liked to see that pick there for the Packers to get a wide receiver, but Quay Walker, great pick by the Packers at 22. Then at 28, the Packers come in and take defensive lineman Devonte Wyatt, another Georgia player. So the Packers now, in the past 2 years of the draft, take Eric Stokes from Georgia, and then Quay Walker from Georgia, and then Devonte Wyatt from Georgia. And it's definitely not a bad, I'd say, unit to take from. So Devonte Wyatt, 6'3", 304 pounds. Last year, he had an 89.8 PFF grade, which was first among Power 5 defensive linemen. So he is one of the best defensive linemen in this class. Gutekunst said about him, he is such a disruptor on the line of scrimmage. He said his ability to scrape and get to the running back is almost linebacker-like. So to be able to add Devonte Wyatt, 6'3", 304 pounds, a monster on the inside, imagine this. Imagine next season, we're coming in, we're watching this Packers defense. We got Rashawn Gary, we got Preston Smith, we got Kenny Clark, and now we have Devonte Wyatt to come in there alongside Kenny Clark. And then you pair that with also adding Quay Walker there at middle linebacker. I think this takes this Packers defense to another level, especially when it comes to stopping the run. Because now with, people lots of times deciding to double team Kenny Clark, Devonte Wyatt is obviously going to make that harder for teams to do. And then not only do we have Devonte Wyatt coming in there, holding up the line of scrimmage, stopping the run, but then we have Quay Walker to come in and fill those holes. So this Packers defense, I think, just got a lot better. Even if the Packers would have gone offense in the first round, I think this defense still has a chance to be elite without these 2 picks, just because I think when you factor in bringing back pretty much the entire unit that we had last season, re-signing Devondre, re-signing Rasul, having Eric Stokes back, Jair, Darnell Savage, Adrian Amos, Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, already having all these guys coming back, coming into year 2 of Joe Barry's system, so to where most of these guys don't have to come in and learn a new system. They're going to be coming in, having more experience in this system, having one of the great performances on defense versus the 49ers team, barely allowing any points in that game. But now to add these 2 defensive players is going to make this Packers defense very, very scary. I really don't see why this Packers team can't be like a top 5 scoring defense next season. And yes, of course, the Packers didn't decide to come in and take a wide receiver in the first round, which would have been nice to see. But with the receivers off the board, it looks like the Packers probably would have had to trade up if they were going to want to get one of those top wide receivers, just because we saw how fast those guys flew off the board before the Packers were able to pick. And I was wondering during the draft if maybe the Packers would trade up to grab a wide receiver, but they decided to stay put. They decided to stay there. And honestly, at 22, I would have liked the Devonte Wyatt pick. So the fact that he fell to 28 for the Packers, I think is amazing. The fact that he fell all the way there to 28. And so now the question is, what are the Packers going to do at wideout? Will they go into the second round and not draft a wide receiver? I mean, it's possible they pass on wide receiver once again, but I really hope this second round they come in and snag a guy like George Pickens, Christian Watson, as I sort of talked about earlier. Who knows how long those guys are going to last, but it's definitely going to be, interesting to see sort of how this Packers team, finishes it off in this next, the next few rounds of the draft. But overall, my grade, I'm going to give the Packers a solid A, because I really think these are 2 great additions to this Packers defense, which for years to come, this Packers defense is going to be, I think, one of the better defenses in the NFL. And so it's going to be exciting. I'm going to be really excited to see sort of how the Packers decide to factor in Quay Walker and Devonte Wyatt. Obviously, year 1, sometimes it takes people time to develop. So if we don't see Quay Walker and Devonte Wyatt come in and dominate right off the bat, it's their rookie season. So obviously we have to give them time to develop and grow into this defense. But I'm pumped to watch this Packers defense next year. So hopefully they can hold teams to, less than 10 points. So that way the Packers offense doesn't need to score a ton of points. That would honestly be very, very nice. But we'll see. We'll see what the Packers decide to do from this point out. But if you guys haven't subscribed and you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe down below. Follow me on Twitter, Luke_Beller. I tweet out a lot more there, so feel free to follow me there. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.